Okay, today we're going to start studying a pathogen. And Chapter 2 is all about epidemiology, studying pathogens and how scientists do that. I've misplaced my Moby somewhere. I need to find it. Oh. But what is a pathogen in your own words? Can anybody share? What is it? They got something to share. What's a pathogen? You don't know? Well, then you better stop talking to your neighbor and pay attention. So a pathogen is anything that causes a sickness or a disease, okay? So that could be a bacteria. It could be a virus. It could be anything that causes a disease, okay? The source of the pathogen, though, would be where that thing is found, right? Okay? So it could be maybe like, let's say, rotten spinach. That could be the source of a pathogen. But the pathogen itself would be like the bacteria or the virus. Does that make sense? Okay. Now, we're going to study a pathogen. It's called pathology. So today you guys are going to be pathologists. Does that make sense? All right. You guys are all in your groups. You're going to be a group of pathologists together. And you're going to study a disease. That's called pathology. The general term of this is studying a pandemic. That's called epidemiology. People are doing that in Africa right now, right? For the Ebola virus. We got Ebola. In the past, we've had H1N1. We've had SARS. We've had the MRSA scare. That's still around, right? Okay. And so you've had MRSA. Everybody's had MRSA. It's everywhere, right? Yep. MRSA is Staphylococcus resistant bacteria. So you've got this bacteria that's resistant to regular antibiotics. Okay. So today, I need you guys to pretend you are this team. And the best pathology team out there, we all know, is like the Mystery Gang, right? Right? Yeah. Who are the two most famous members of the Mystery Gang? Shaggy and Scooby. Okay? I want you all right now to point at the people at your table who, I'm not going to say are lazy because that would be like Shaggy and Scooby. That would be a mean thing to say. But I want everybody to point at the person at your table that is the most like Scooby. Everybody point right now. 1, 2, 3, point at him. You are Scooby by default. The group has said so, whoever you are. Okay? Now I want you to think about Shaggy. Okay? Shaggy likes to take naps, right? So think about who sleeps during class. Okay? Oh, look, he's already got his head down. He's like on his way out. Look, I saw it. So point at them. There's Shaggy. Right now, point at him. 1, 2, 3, point. You are Shaggy. Now the other two people, it depends on if you're a girl or a boy, are going to be Fred and Velma or Daphne. I don't care who. If you're Velma, you always say what? Jinkies, isn't that? Yeah? Okay. Jinky, yeah. If you got glasses on, you're a girl, we're just going to say you're Velma for the day. If you're a boy, you got to be Fred, okay? You just don't have that little whatever that thing is that he wears. Okay. Yeah, Asgard or whatever it is. All right, you guys. So, now we all have roles. Everybody is responsible, Mr. Yankee, everybody is responsible for taking your own clues, okay? Everybody in the Scooby-Doo Mystery Gang finds their own clues, and they all come together at the end to figure it out, right? But in the end, no one figures it out without Scooby or Shaggy, right? They usually end up solving it, but not with the help from Fred and Velma and Daphne. Everybody contributes. We all good there? So everybody takes notes. I am going to read through a scenario. Remember we did the controlled experiment where we tried to isolate just one independent variable? You're looking for that, except there are several possible independent variables today. You have to find out the one that is just exactly the same in both environments that I give you. It's going to be tough. So you're going to take a lot of clues, and then you're going to be able to solve the mystery. Are we ready? Okay. You cannot be inactive today. You will not be able to do this if you are. Your desk should be cleared. Nobody should be on electronic devices. This is all taking notes by hand, old school. Here we go. I am going to read to you. Who likes to be read to? Everybody wants to be read to, right? Yeah. I read every night to my 7-year-old daughter. We're reading the Spiderwick Chronicles right now. So I read to her. I can read to you guys. This is easy. Here we go. I will if you, let's see, bedtime is at 7:30, so you got to come over between 7:30 and 8, and you can say, okay, all right. All right. So a mother rushes to the hospital. Her child is bleeding uncontrollably from the eyes, hands, and mouth. Where did this mysterious disease come from? What is it, and can it be stopped? It's a mystery in 3 episodes. Today we're going to do like all of 1 and maybe a little bit of 2. Okay? So we'll start with 1. So at the conclusion of episode 1, your boss, Dr. Oh, geez. What happened? I clicked on the wrong one, didn't I? I clicked on 2. Why don't you guys tell me? No, it didn't give any answers. It didn't say anything there. So late at night, on a hot summer night, your phone rings. It's your boss, Dr. Susan Lydell. I'm at Mercy Hospital, she tells you. We have an urgent case here, a child, Isabella Allinger, 9 months old. She's bleeding uncontrollably from her eyes and her hands. We don't know why. I need you to go back to the Allingers' apartment and investigate things there. What am I looking for, you ask? That's just it, she rushes on, practically yelling. We don't know. Something happened to her in the last 1 or 2 hours. Maybe she ate something. Maybe something stung her. Maybe it's a chemical. It looks like a new disease, but why would Isabella be the first to get it? Who else lives in the apartment, you ask? The mother and father, Carmen and Julianne Allinger. They're here and they both seem fine, but wear gloves and a mask just to be sure. She gives you the Allingers' address. Whatever caused the disease, it affected only the baby. See if you can find it. I'm on my way, you say. So, we're on our way as a pathological team here, okay, to study, do an epidemiological study on the source of this pathogen. We're not looking for the pathogen, we're looking for where the source is. So that's what you're going to try to find. We're going to go to the, yes. You're supposed to be taking notes on any clue. Would you like me to say jinkies whenever I see a clue? Yeah. Okay. This got silly last hour, I'm warning you. There's a lot of clues. All right, so I will be Thelma, and whenever I see a clue, I will say jinkies. I won't tell you. How about that? It'll be either before or after, because I might read it and then go, oh, jinkies, right? Or I might see it coming and go, jinkies, here it comes. But I won't say here it comes. Okay? All right. So the woman anxiously waiting at the door of the Allinger apartment introduces herself as Rita. So you're going to label this section the Allinger apartment. I'll come in with you, she says, so you give her a mask and some gloves. The apartment is small and dead silent. You and Rita move into the first room, looking for clues as to what made Isabella Allinger sick. In the living room. It's a typical living room with an old couch facing a TV set and the VCR is flashing 12, 12, 12 jinkies. Nothing here, Rita shrugs, but you aren't sure. What's this, you ask, pointing at a houseplant, jinkies, sitting in a pot on the coffee table. It's a small plant with long sword-like leaves and an exotic green flower. I don't know, Rita admits. It was here the last time I visited my sister. You ask her when that was. A week ago, she says. Let's check out the houseplant. Ooh, I won't slow down. I keep moving. Nope. Well, you should pick up on it, but that's like my way of saying, hey, wake up, and there might be something there. Okay. But I'm going to say it whenever there's a possibility, so pay close attention. You examine the houseplant, jinkies. Looking closer, you see that some of the leaves and the 2 of the flowers are missing, jinkies. It looks like they were pulled off the plant recently. You find 1 fresh bit of leaf lying under the coffee table, jinkies. It looks chewed on, jinkies. Is Isabella standing up yet, you ask Rita. The coffee table is low to the ground. Just started standing up this week, she tells you. Jinkies. Okay. You guys need to learn how to take shorthand notes, so I'm not going to wait for you to write everything down. Keep moving. The Allinger apartment, back in the apartment. You and Rita resume your search for clues as to what made little Isabella Allinger sick. In the kitchen, where you eat things. The first thing you notice are the supper dishes on the table. In front of the high chair is a baby plate messy with mashed food and a baby's cup half full of milk, jinkies. By examining the plate, it's easy to reconstruct Isabella's whole dinner menu. She had peas, applesauce, and a little piece of pizza with mushrooms, jinkies. Where Carmen and Julianne sat are 2 empty plates with pizza crumbs on them, forks, 2 empty beer bottles, and 2 salad plates smeared with white dressing, jinkies. Beyond the table is a refrigerator, and a bottle of milk is sitting on the counter next to it. Double jinkies. Let's look at the refrigerator first. In the refrigerator, you find 7 jars of baby food, a jar of olives nearly empty, old-looking bottles of ketchup and mustard, 4 bottles of beer, and the bottom shelf is crammed full of fresh greens and vegetables in plastic bags. You see lettuce, carrots, beans, peas, and spinach. Let's look at the milk bottle, Jinkies. The old-fashioned milk bottle is labeled pure whole milk from Donnybrook Farms, unpasteurized, unhomogenized, nothing added. Keep refrigerated. It's been opened and is almost full. Jinkies. Rita wrinkles her nose. This won't be any good anymore, Jinkies, and she says and moves to pour it out. Don't touch, you warn her, and she jumps back in alarm. Jinkies. And in the hallway, it's a tight little space. And in the corner, you spy a plastic garbage can. Yuck, grimaces Rita when you leave the plastic liner out of it. Oops, when you heave the plastic liner out of it. Inside the liner, you find an empty applesauce baby food jar, Rolo's Takeout Pizza, Jinkies, a nursery tag that reads, Lady Slipper Paphiodelium, Jinkies, and a few greasy paper napkins. Something rattles underfoot. It's an empty pet food dish, Jinkies. Let's see what kind of pet we're dealing with. See if it's a janky pet. Your sister has a pet, you ask Rita. Oh my God, Iggy, Rita yells. I forgot all about him. You and Rita search the apartment carefully and finally locate Iggy in the bathtub. Iggy is a green iguana about 2 feet long. Jinkies. What does Iggy eat, you ask Rita. Iguana chow. No way, Rita squeals. Vegetables, leafy greens. Jinkies. Does Isabella play with Iggy, you ask. She's not supposed to, Rita answers, but yeah, Jinkies, she does. All the time. Watch out, those claws are sharp. Jinkies. Let's go to her room. Rita gasps. Inside of the baby's crib, Jinkies, is a blanket mottled with bloodstains. On the headboard, a baby's hand is perfectly traced in blood. Let's look at the baby's crib. Look at the janky crib. Sounds like an MTV show, doesn't it? Like Cribs. Janky Cribs. Rita reveals a new suspect. You look closer at the crib. There's blood everywhere. Suddenly, Rita bursts out. It was that man, the exterminator, Jinkies. He's the one who made Isabella sick. Exterminator, Jinkies, you say? Tell me more, blinking back tears. Rita tells her that a man came and sprayed all the apartments, Jinkies, earlier today. He was from the Hitchcock Chemical Company, Jinkies, she says. My sister said he assured her it would be harmless. Jinkies. What was he spraying for, you ask? Roaches, Jinkies, she says. Jinky roaches. Uh-oh. Let's go back to the apartment. Let's go to the master bedroom. A man's work clothes are heaped in a corner. On the nightstand, the clock radio flashes the wrong time. Looks like they had a power outage, Jinkies, Rita says. The electricity went out this afternoon in the office where I work, and that's not far from here. It got so hot they sent us home early. Rita points to the nightstand, where a red light blinks on an answering machine. Jinkies, I heard the phone ring while I was waiting for you. Let's check the answering machine. It's a message for you, for us, from Dr. Lydell. Isabella has what we call an acquired bleeding disorder, she shouts. Behind her, it sounds like an emergency is going on. Profound hemophilia. If she scratches herself, the bleeding doesn't stop. Plus, something is hemorrhaging the tissue around her eyes, her gums, her hair, and even around her fingernails. It's horrible to see. Her parents are holding up pretty well, considering. No sign of the disease in either of them, by the way. What causes this? Some kind of pathogen, an invading agent like a bacterium or a virus, or maybe a toxic chemical or insect venom. I haven't noticed marks on her skin, but with all this blood, it's hard to be sure. Look, I have to go. Call me when you're finished gathering facts. She slams the phone down. After a moment, the answering machine beeps and rewinds. Let's go back to the apartment. So we already looked at the house plant. We don't need to do that again. So I think we're ready to move on. You learn all you've had to learn here. You tell Dr. Lydell and you move to the next step. Yeah, it's a pathogen, or it's a disease. All right, so you call Dr. Lydell. Good thing you called, she says urgently. We've got trouble. We have to move fast. What happened, you ask? Is Isabella? We have another victim, Dr. Lydell rushes on. Just came in. A 14-year-old boy named Troy Belindo. Same symptoms, bleeding profusely from his eyes, nose, fingers, neck, feet. The Allengers say that they don't know him, but it's definitely the same new disease. What do you want me to do, you ask? Get over to his house, she says. This boy must have something in common with Isabella. I need you to find out what it is right now. She gives you the address and you write it down. I'm on my way, you say, and hang up. Rita looks at what you've written down. That's not far from here, she says, and gives you directions. Goodbye, you say, as you run out the door. So now we're going to a different house, okay, but we're looking for something that they both have in common.
They both have houses. That's a good start.
Jinkies. They both are, okay. That is true. One was an apartment. Okay, they both have, you might want to get a little deeper in that. Just a little. So Mrs. Belindo meets you at the door of her house, an old bungalow with sagging window screens and peeling paint. She doesn't say much. She waves for you to go into Troy's bedroom and then shuffles off in the direction of the kitchen. In Troy's bedroom, sprawled on the bed, a teenage girl jumps up when you come in. Like, someone's here, she says in a cordless phone. Someone, I gotta go, bye, bye, bye. Who are you, you ask after she hung up. What does this guy Troy just have a girl hanging out in his room for? I would be dead in the water. Dead. Dead man walking, Mr. Mason would have been in high school. That would not be allowed in my house. That upsets me more than the disease. Anyway, Rosary, Troy's girlfriend, where is he? She wants to know. Didn't Mrs. Belindo tell you? Nah, we don't talk much anymore. She shrugs like, what's with the mask? Troy's sick, you tell her. He's in the hospital. This hits her hard. What's wrong with him? We don't know. Who was that? Was that somebody's phone? It's okay if it was. Or was that the ceiling?
No, it was somebody's phone.
Oh, okay, I thought so. So he's really sick, isn't she, she asks, and you do not deny it. Looking around the cluttered bedroom, you notice a soda can, Jinkies, on the desk. Jinky Pop. Diet Jinky.
I don't get why the girlfriend doesn't talk to the mom but hangs out in her bed.
That's creepy, right? That's like, yeah. That's what I'm saying. That would not be my house. No. Mr. Mason's dad was a Marine. That would not have happened. No. 2 children with their ears would have been drug outside, and that'd have been one of them. So you pick it up, a little soda sloshes around on the bottom. That's mine, Rosary says, from dinner. Troy and I had hot dogs, Jinkies. Troy had a soda too, you ask? Jinkies. Yes, he tried some milk, but he poured it out, Jinkies. Rosary remembers. What did you have on your hot dog, Jinky, you ask? You and Troy had the same thing? Yeah, she says. Wait, no. Troy likes his mushrooms plain, Jinkies. Gross. I sauteed mine in butter, Jinkies. Jinky butter. What about Mrs. Belindo, you ask? She went grocery shopping after work, Rosary says. Troy and I ate alone, Jinkies. Troy and Ninny and I, Jinky, she corrects herself. Ninny, you say? Troy's cat. His name is actually 9 Inch Nails because of his claws. You know, we call him Ninny for short.
Alone in the house, sharing the bedroom?
Yep, bad deal. Bad deal. That's what I'm saying. Like I said, I am more concerned of the parenting skills than of the disease at this point. So you continue to investigate the old Belindo house looking for possible causes of Troy Belindo's mysterious illness. In the kitchen, everything is neat in a tired, gloomy sort of way. The stove looks like it hasn't been used in years. Jinkies, a big microwave sits on the kitchen. Jinkies, its clock blinking, PF, PF, PF. You look around for a garbage can but don't see one, Jinkies. There's a phone caddy mounted on the wall. The cordless phone itself is missing. A picture calendar of endangered wildlife hangs alongside, and someone has written Hitchcock Exterminators 4 p.m. Jinkies in the box for today. The old refrigerator clanks when its compressor comes on. Opening it, you find an open carton of milk plus margarine, eggs, an almost empty package of mushrooms, jars of relish, and brown mustard, and a 6-pack of soda with 2 cans missing. Let's look at the garbage can first, the Jinky garbage first. The Janky junk. But they found it underneath the sink. On top of a load of junk mail, you find an empty wrapper for 6 hot dog buns, Jinkies. An empty wrapper for 6 hot dogs and 6 hot dog buns. An empty soda can, Jinkies, and a greasy paper towel, and an empty Donnybrook Farms Janky milk bottle. Suddenly, Mrs. Belindo is alongside you. That shouldn't be in there. She scolds. Before you can stop her, she grabs the milk bottle, rinses it out vigorously, then with a crash, puts it in the recycling behind the sink. Let's go to the calendar. They never came, Jinkies, says Mrs. Belindo, who sees what you're looking at twice now. I make an appointment and they don't come. You have pests, you ask her? She points to the ceiling festooned with cobwebs. Spiders, Jinkies, she says tiredly. I hate them. And I wake up with their bites, she says, holding out one fleshy arm. There's a mark on it like a mosquito bite. We've already looked at the trash. We're going to go back to the house. In the family room, Mrs. Belindo sits in her chair, fanning herself and drinking from a glass. The TV is tuned in to a late-night movie with the sound turned down low. It's a comedy, but you notice Mrs. Belindo is crying softly to herself. There's a raggedy houseplant Jinkies on the table next to her. Let's talk to Mrs. Belindo. They do have a lot in common, don't they? We're going to talk to Miss Belindo. Boy, it is Shaggy because all he's thinking about is sleeping. He's like, I got a bed, I can take a nap, right? Okay. You and food, right?
Like the girl.
Shaggy. Oh,
The girl.
we're getting there. I know. That's typical, right? Okay. So you and Mrs. Belindo. You asked Mrs. Belindo if she has any idea of how her son Troy got sick. It's that girl, she hisses, nodding her chin at the door to Troy's bedroom. She's so bossy. She calls him at all hours. They sneak around at night. He doesn't eat right. She cries softly. Are you all right, you ask her? Yes, she says, just tired, very tired. And I'm scared at what will happen to my son. She stops to take a drink from a glass of milk, Jinkies. You're drinking milk, Jinkies, you observe. Yes, she says. Want some? It's nice and cold. Suddenly, a sleek young tabby cat jumps into her lap. Its eyes upon the glass in Mrs. Belindo's hand. Oh, all right, she sighs and tips the glass so the cat can lap at the milk, Jinkies. Troy would never do this. He says milk is bad for cats. Have you ever heard of anything so ridiculous in all of your life? What? Well, the cat was okay. Right? Let's check. Oh, well, we don't know that. Let's look at the cat. Sorry. So you look closer at the cat and notice a scratch on one of its ears, Jinkies. Where did he get that? You ask Mrs. Belindo. She shrugs. You reach out and examine the scratch, and suddenly the cat whirls, strikes, and jumps away. You look down at your hand, where blood wells up through your shredded latex glove. Oh, great. Great. Well, now look at what he's done, Mrs. Belindo says, dabbing a napkin at her blouse. Made me spill my milk, Jinkies. Let's check out the houseplant. Don't cry over spilled milk, yes. Unless your son's in the hospital bleeding, right? Then it's okay. Yes, and you think it's from the girl rosary. Yes. So be careful, Mrs. Belindo warns you. That's an Amaryllis belladonna. Beautiful plant, but poisonous, you know. They call it deadly nightshade, Jinkies. Looks like something's been scratching at it, Jinkies, you observe. A cat, maybe? Mrs. Belindo shrugs. Jinkies. Jinkies, she doesn't know. We already talked to her. We're going to go back to the house. Back in Troy's bedroom. Rosary is pacing up and down and up and down. Her mascara is a mess. Looking around the cluttered room, you notice a soda can, Jinkies, on a desk and a door in to another room. What's in there, you ask? Bathroom, shrugs Rosary, and she nudges the door open. Inside is a crimson-stained towel and a floor slick with blood. Rosary starts to scream, and it takes you a minute to get her calmed down. It's all my fault, she sobs. Call the hospital. I got to find out if Troy's all right. When I'm through here, you tell her, once I figured out what Troy Belindo and Isabella Allinger have in common. Let's question Rosary. You ask Rosary why she thinks she made Troy sick. Her hands shaking, she pulls a piece of paper from a skinny little purse. On the paper, someone sketched something that looks like a beaded necklace with a cross. That's a rosary, Rosary says. Troy got a tattoo. I made him get it because my name means rosary, right? And like he was bleeding a lot. After he got it, you ask? She nods. A long time, she shakes her head no, Jinkies. When Troy got his tattoo, you ask her, 2 days ago. When did Troy get his tattoo, you ask her? 2 days ago, Jinkies. Rosary sobs and refuses to say anything more about it. Do you know the Allingers, you ask? Yeah, Jinkies, Rosary says. Sure, kind of. Last year when we were on vacation, I took care of their iguana, Iggy, right? Jinkies. We already looked at the soda can, right? Yeah, yep. Okay, let's go back to the house. Oh, I think we're ready. We've got all the clues we need. You dial Dr. Susan Lydell and she picks up instantly. I hope you figured out what the source of the disease Isabella and Troy have in common. She continues. We're having a hard time here. Do you have a list of suspects? Quickly run through the possibilities. It could be the houseplant, a spider bite, exterminator causing it, the milk, the family pet, bloody tattoo, a hot dog, pizza, or the mushrooms. So which is it, she asks? What made them both sick? I will tell your group this. It is one of those right there. You and your group need to come to a consensus as to which one you all agree that it is. Do not ask me. You have your clues in front of you. I am going to bring around, don't tell me, tell your group. I am going to bring around a piece of paper. If you and your group cannot come to a consensus, sometimes Shaggy and Scooby go off and do their own thing, right? So if that needs to happen because you guys don't agree, that is fine. It is only one. I promise it is only one. What is the source of the pathogen? I need you to talk to your pathological team here, your fellow epidemiologists, and I need you guys to write down the one thing that you think is the source of the pathogen.